So I remember mid-December, I think it was 2 days before he announced he was going to Florida, going up to his office and just saying, "Hey, Coach, what's the deal? Just want to, talk about my scholarship." And he just kind of stops me. He just looks at me. He's like, "So what do you think, Notre Dame or Florida?"
Before practice, he spoke openly with his team.
And I kind of felt that I've avoided a lot of things for a long time, and I think they deserve to know what's going on. And I told them exactly what's going on, and I think they appreciate that.
I can't answer for everybody, but I think it was pretty overwhelming. We all thought he was going to go. I talked about it on the air. I think it upset Chris Hill when I did. These are the good old days. Enjoy them now. The quarterback and the coach, they've climbed to the mountaintop. What's left to prove?
Absolutely. He had the biggest goals possible. And at that time, Utah wasn't allowed to achieve the biggest goals possible.
Coaching in the Mountain West at the time is what it was. There was only so many opportunities. You have to run the table just to get into the BCS, and even then, you kind of nervously have to wait till your day comes to see if you can get into the big show or one of the big bowl games.
It's like, okay, here Coach Meyer's making, $500,000, and then, Florida's offering him $2 million plus. It's a no-brainer.
So Urban and his wife Shelley, they were a tandem. They were going to go where they had the best chance to win. He used Utah to get what he wanted. Utah used him, and they both was a win-win situation.
So once I learned the logistics of it, I couldn't be upset with him. I couldn't be upset with him because that's all what we want. We all want to move up in our profession.
Offensive coordinator Mike Sanford was hired as a head coach at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, making him unavailable to coach at the Fiesta Bowl. Adding to the chaos within the coaching staff was the possibility of losing longtime defensive coordinator Kyle Whittingham to his alma mater.
What was really a problem early on when Coach Whittingham was approached by the team down south at BYU to take that job.
It was definitely a lot going on. I don't remember the timeline when Coach Meyer got the job, but still was going to finish out the year, and then Coach Sanford, and then Coach Witt's dilemma with BYU and us.
And we even agreed to maybe Gary Anderson stay at Utah, and talking about staff, and then boom, the BYU gets involved, and that was a heartache for about 3 or 4 days. We actually, when I flew back one time, about 5 or 6 or 7 of us went over to Coach Whittingham's house and said, you got to stay here, and you're a Utah man, and we built this program, and he ended up staying, and obviously have had great success since.
The natural transition to Coach Whittingham was easy, and it helped us.
We had great leaders that year, and the team was so focused on the goal and out to prove what we are, and I don't think anything was going to get in the way of that.
If I remain at Utah, I'm going to coach the bowl team. Coach the bowl, obviously, if something should change, I anticipate I'll still coach his team in the bowl game.
Having selected Kyle Whittingham as the new head coach and Urban Meyer staying on staff to coach the bowl game, Utah made the trip to Arizona. Game time. The opportunity for the Utes to prove they were championship contenders and not pretenders. Upon taking the field, the team was met with an unexpected surprise.
It was really impressive to us to see how many people came to support us, and it was just another factor to go out and play hard and play great.
Here's kind of a neutral site and to look up, and that stadium was 80-90% red.
It all came together at that moment, when we ran out on the field.
We had one goal, and that was to show the world how good we were.
What a great experience. Yeah, nobody was getting in our way at that point.
As the game progressed, it was evident that Utah's success that season was not a fluke. Every big gain, every touchdown scored, validated their invitation to play on the big stage. Every sack of the Pitt quarterback, every jarring tackle was further proof that they were indeed one of college football's premier teams, worthy of any opponent.
We just played great cohesive defense. The style of defense that Coach Wood called it an amazing game with the right blitzes and the stunts and the coverages. And, when they couldn't run the ball on us and we were getting pressure on the quarterback, we knew it was going to be a long day for them.
The enormous Utah crowd's thunderous approval of the team's performance seemed to fuel the team's intensity.
Around and there's far more red than black, and the football team is just doing it.
Towards the end of the game, the Urban Meyer directed offense put an exclamation point on the victory.
It was a play that Alex and Smith and I would argue about all the time in practice because he said it never worked and I wanted to try it. And we tried it in practice, and he says it never worked. I said it worked, and we called it and it worked to perfection.
Over to football, Savoy gives it on, back to Warren, touchdown Utah!
And it was, to this day, one of the best trick plays we ever had. It scored from about 25 yards out. Steve Savoy flipped it to Paris Warren, and that was kind of the nail in the coffin that said this one's over.
Utah decisively beat the Big East champions 35-7. The Ute offense punted once the entire game. Paris Warren had 15 pass receptions. The Ute defense amassed 9 quarterback sacks, with linebacker Tommy Hackenbrook recording 3 individual sacks, all Fiesta Bowl records which still stand today. Once the outsiders of college football, the Utes had dramatically knocked down the BCS door. The cliquish team that Urban Meyer inherited no longer existed. The players that had once been divided now embodied the definition of the word team. That group of undervalued and overlooked players, along with their coaches, celebrated on a football field in the Arizona desert one last time as a team. They celebrated a monumental victory at the conclusion of an improbable season, of overcoming incredible odds, of proving wrong the naysayers and doubters, and they celebrated camaraderie and brotherhood, the invisible force that had fueled their odyssey.
I remember fireworks going off. I remember doing interviews on the field, hugging players, just vivid memories of celebrating with guys that are, some of my best friends to this day, and that's how close of a team we were.
We all loved each other. We loved each other. We fought for each other. It meant something to us.
To be able to finish off that entire season with those guys, with the group of guys, I think that's special.
After Utah busted the BCS glass ceiling, the landscape of college football began to change. Utah opened the door, allowing greater access to schools outside the BCS circle. In 2006, a 5th BCS Bowl game was added to the BCS lineup. After the Utes run, non-AQ programs were then able to qualify for a BCS Bowl game by being ranked in the top 12 of the BCS poll instead of the top 6. After 2004, subsequent BCS Busters proved that they were capable of competing on the biggest stages of college football. At the end of the BCS era, mid-major teams had compiled a record of 4 wins against 2 losses against teams from automatic qualifying conferences. Despite that success, no mid-major team was ever afforded the opportunity to play for the national championship. Did the controversy of 2004 start a discussion regarding the implementation of a playoff?
There's no question. I think Auburn, when you go 14-0 in the SEC conference, and you got this Utah team with the number one overall pick in Alex Smith and excellent team. There's no question that stimulated a lot of that conversation.
We created this controversy. We had 3 undefeated teams that year. How can you truly say who the national champion was if those teams never played each other?
I think we're the pioneers. I think we started it all. We opened the door. I think, like I said before, there's a lot of people nationwide, national media, that didn't want it to happen.
The biggest impact was school presidents and university regents and lawyers getting together and saying, we deserve to be in, you're going to give us a place, or there's going to be antitrust issues and you're going to be in trouble.
I think the system played a significant role in terms of, hey, these are quality teams that you are excluding for arbitrary reasons, Utah being at the top.
Now Utah strengthened that case say, hey, now it's not just a theory. And they might have been able to win on theory, but now practically, hey, here's a team that's done it. You have no right to do this.
I think we were kind of the tip of the iceberg for the BCS system, and as far as the unraveling of it.
I talked to some of those former players even now. 04 would have been a chance. There's about 3 or 4 undefeated teams that, you know, you go play against each other, who knows? And Utah, that was a special team.
The system is flawed, and there was more equality in college football than people thought.
You know, you couldn't build a team that could compete with the big boys and this and that. And we showed them that you could. Any given day, any team can beat anyone.
Every once in a great while, you know, you're going to get a team that on any given day can compete with anybody.
But there's some great Boise teams, some great TCU teams, some great Colorado State teams, and the Utah team more than once. I believe it was 08 and 04. You tell me those teams don't deserve opportunities to play in the highest level of college football. That's wrong.
One of the reasons we are drawn to sports is the possibility of witnessing the improbable or unexpected. We celebrate those athletes who surpass expectations, who defy the odds and prove the experts wrong. The 2004 Utes reinforced the notion that champions should be determined by their play on the field, not by a vote on a ballot. That team of underrated and overlooked underdogs initiated the dismantling of the BCS status quo and forever changed the landscape of college football.
Winds have changed the sands of time. Broken dreams, no reason or rhyme. What did they say?